One of the shortest prelim paper review I ever had to do.
This is ASRJC. A rather strange paper where the MCQ
matter
more than the SEQs.
Final line in today's episode of PPR.
Alright, welcome back to another video. This is Yaola from Vantage Tutor, a class above the rest. And for today's prelim paper review, it is a JC2 WA1 special, and it is from 2026 Anderson Serangoon Junior College, H2 Chemistry JC2 WA1. Now before I begin, these are the questions that I feel are interesting and probably worth your time to try. And if you would like to try this paper, you're invited to join my Telegram channel where I've uploaded a short summary along with the download link on my blog. Have a go at it, let me know how you did. And yes, I have started a tuition center. It's located near Boon Keng and ASRJC. Regular classes are up and running and the full schedule can be found on my website. Link is in the bio. Sign up today and I'll see you there. Firstly, this paper was shared with me by my H2 Math student, and truth be told, the moment I saw the MCQs, it felt very much like an ASRJC paper. But then when I moved on to section B, when I saw the organic chemistry question, it felt like something from a tutorial. Why? Let's find out via my 3 matrices. Number 1 relevance, number 2 insightfulness, number 3 difficulty. Before I give an overall score, I recommend to you the type of student who should try this paper. And of course, if I had a student who had to sit for this paper under exam condition, what would be a fair expectation of him from me in order for him to score an A in his actual A levels? Firstly, relevance. I'm going to share with you my secret. Every year, if I'm looking to practice on physical chemistry, specifically concerning anything to do with equilibrium, that means your solubility product, acid-base equilibria, or just raw chemical equilibria, my first go-to paper is always ASRJC. And if I want to prepare questions that revises on arene specifically, I will also go to ASRJC. And in this paper, it fulfilled half of the criteria. When I look through the acid-base equilibria question and the solubility product question, I quite like the MCQ questions. It was a bit unique. And then when you got to section B, the acid-base equilibria, that is something that is slightly more challenging. I can see why it's the last question. I can see why most students will struggle to score there. And trust me, anything to do with equilibria in this paper is very useful for your practice. However, when it comes to organic chemistry, this is very disappointing. The arenes question in section B, the very first question, I'm pretty sure I've seen this somewhere in the tutorial question. Almost the same thing. Furthermore, if you have been following my PPR very religiously, you'll realize that this question is also testing on ICL. And therefore, if you actually tried the CJC WA1 that I uploaded, this would have been an easy 3 to 5 marks for you. And for me, the most disappointing part in regards to relevance is the organic chemistry part. There was no synthesis at all. Okay, to be fair, there is, but it's a very condensed version in section B, and the multi-step one that you see usually in your prelims that could concern up to 4 stages is only an MCQ question. As much as I like the physical chemistry part of this paper, the organic chemistry part seemed to fall off really badly. Therefore, the relevance of this paper will be given a slightly lower than average, 4.5 out of 10. Next, insightfulness. The insights are sprinkled in the small parts. The prelim question, the last question on your acid-base equilibria, and maybe the MCQs. In fact, I will place more emphasis on the MCQ if I were you trying this paper as a time practice. Because when I got to section B, organic chemistry felt weak, acid-base equilibria question felt a bit odd because of the way they twisted it, and therefore that will be a bit of insights for you. However, for the solubility product, it feels repetitive. I feel like they are testing the same stuff over and over again in your MCQ and your section B in terms of KSP, and this is really rare for me in terms of the review. I actually don't have much to say about the insights, as much as there are insights, but most of them are in the MCQ, which is usually a very small part. You could get it right just by being lucky, and hence the insightfulness of this paper is there but not spectacular, barely average, 5.5 out of 10. Next, difficulty. This I have something to say. Firstly, in terms of KSP, I feel like they're repeating themselves. If you get it right once in the MCQ, you probably will get it right for the rest of the paper. If you talk about the acid-base equilibria, I think this was the main challenge of this paper. In your MCQ, they were rather creative with it, and then in your section B, the last question is clearly the anchor question. You don't get much of these, and these are what I like to include in my practice for my tutorial. In fact, I think this question was very much inspired by the VJC tutorial question, also the supplementary question, also the last question, also the anchor question of the entire tutorial. But when it comes to organic chemistry, they really gave you an opportunity to score. And the ICL part, like I said, TMJC has done it, CJC has done it, maybe other schools, WA1 has also done it. And in a sense, it's trying to tell you, you should know how to do this. And then they really dumbed down the organic chemistry part by making the extensive synthesis question in the MCQ. And then for the section B, they just made it as textbook as it can be for you, with a small bit of insights and challenge in terms of pyridine part where you have to understand delocalization. And hence, the difficulty of this paper is there, and maybe for some of you, you'll consider it balanced. But for me personally, I see the challenges in assay-based Equilibria, but the organic chemistry part and KSP part really just made it very, very balanced, almost too balanced, and hence the difficulty of this paper would be given a rather fair 5.5 out of 10. Overall, a decent paper. Maybe again, just like every other school, they are concerned with the short time frame because of Chinese New Year, because of OGLs having to participate in events. They worry that their students may not perform up to standard and they're trying to give them a bit more leeway. I understand that. And again, if you look at this paper, this is upon 27 marks. It's not a long paper, and I'm not sure how the paper was set. Don't know if the teacher was told you're only given 27 marks or the teacher just said and happened to get 27 marks. That will make a big difference, because if the teacher was told that there was only 27 marks, that means he has been restricted. But if the teacher had free reign and then somehow it came up to 27 marks, it's really their way of telling you that we are trying to help you. We understand the concern and constraints of term 1 as a JC2. And for students who did not do well for this paper, you definitely should be disappointed. And if you scored 0 for organic chemistry, you should be the most concerned of the lot. And therefore for me, this paper comes across as the school is very confident in how they have taught physical chemistry, but maybe not so much in terms of organic chemistry. But really, I cannot unsee the kind of organic chemistry questions that I see in this paper, and hence the overall score of this paper will be given a rather average 5 out of 10. And if I had a student who had to sit for this paper under exam condition, a fair expectation of him would be 70%. In order for him to score an A in his actual A levels. Finally, who I recommend this paper to? I recommend this paper to students who are looking to brush up on your acid-based Equilibria and your solubility product. And again, that's the main focus of this paper. And the next thing I'm going to say is very rare for you to hear, which is that I cannot emphasize enough how important the MCQ questions are in this paper. I think the MCQ questions in this paper shine through more than the section B questions in terms of its relevance, in terms of its insightfulness, and in terms of the twist they try to add to it. And again, if you're a student who is very weak at organic chemistry, maybe this is a paper that you could do as well, because the organic chemistry part is really very tutorial level. You cannot go any simpler than that. No intramolecular attack, synthesis is barely 2 stages. You will never get this ever again in future WA, and of course your A levels. And hence, if you are a J2 who is struggling to catch up on your acid-based Equilibria solubility product, and you're looking for a paper that will give you more holistic practice by including the MCQ, this paper will be perfect for you. Alright, so we have come to the end of this Prelim Paper review of 2026 Anderson Serangoon Junior College H2 Chemistry JC2 WA1. Now if you like what I'm doing, follow me on TikTok, like my video, comment and share with your friends. I'm sure this will help them. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I usually will upload a more in-depth analysis of the Prelim Paper and more extensive A-level content, because ultimately, I'm on my way to 10,000 followers. Nothing else. This is Yaola from Vantage Tutor, a class above the rest. Take care.